You are tuned into a special player spotlight interview on the CS Podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the CS Podcast presented by the NUC NFL Draft Bible, bringing you the names that you need to know first since 2002. Visit NFLDraftBible.com. And joining the show now for a player spotlight interview is 2016 NFL Draft prospect David Moala, the defensive lineman out of Utah State. And David, we appreciate you taking some time this afternoon. I got to ask you, can you believe that this journey of yours is now over and now here you are getting ready for an opportunity to play at the next level?
Yeah, it's been crazy how fast my years have come. I've come a long way, and it's been a journey, quite a journey that I took to get to this point. Mm-hmm. But it's exciting.
Yeah, and let's talk about that journey, David. Talk about how you ultimately landed at Utah State. I know that coming out of high school, you first attended Arizona State, where you redshirted your one and only year there before transferring down to the JUCO level, where you spent 2 years at Cerritos Junior College, where you racked up a few accolades, including California Community College Athletic Association first team, All-State, and All-Northern Division honors. Coming out of the JUCO ranks, David, what were some of the other programs that were showing interest in you, and how did you decide that Utah State would be the best fit for you?
Yeah, as you said, my journey from Arizona State to junior college, I was an immature person, a young man, young 18-year-old in a college environment, and things didn't go well as I planned. And I ended up in junior college at Cerritos, and the other schools that were interested in me were Louisville, Oregon State. SC had, when Coach Orgeron was there, he was looking at me for a bit. And then things didn't go well academically. I was still mature. I wasn't working out still. And, I was working towards it. But I was a late bloomer. I was a late guy coming into leaving in the summer. I was supposed to leave in the spring. Didn't do that because I still had math and English to finish. I was supposed to leave in the summer. Didn't do that. And Utah State just stuck around. They've been recruiting me since high school. Utah State wasn't even in the picture when I was getting recruited in junior college. They just seen my name and I was still out there. And they're our head coach, Matt Wells, and our offensive coordinator. They were good friends back in the day. So, they just had a connected thing, and they said, take a chance on this guy, even though there's many red flags on my head. So they took a chance with me, and Utah State stuck with me to the end until I got everything done, and I ended up there, and I'm grateful that I've been able to play for such a great program.
And I got to think it's such a great feeling to know that program was, interested in you all the way back to your high school days, and then you become available once again, after 2 years at the JUCO ranks. And there they are. They're still fighting for you. They want you a part of their program, and you ultimately did decide to go to Utah State, play for the Aggies. And heading into this season, David, your senior year, of course, I'm sure that you wanted to finish your collegiate career off with a bang, and due to some unfortunate circumstances, when the starting nose guard, Travis Seafield, he was in a car accident, and the coaching staff looked at you with the next man up mentality when it was clear that when it was clear that you were going to take a spot on that defensive line, the starting spot on that defensive line. I got to ask, did your mentality change at all, seeing as, more weight would be put on your shoulders and that the team would be looking your way more so than they did your junior year?
My junior year, coming out of junior college, I came in so late. It was almost close to the first game that I was eligible to even, suit up and practice with the team. So I was out of shape. And going to my junior year at Utah State, I got thrown into the game, third game, right when I was eligible against Wake Forest. And I didn't know what I was doing out there. I didn't understand the defense, when to take my chances, when to do what. And I ended up just by the year, as the year went on, I was getting in shape. During the season, I was getting in shape and learning the plays. And then coming to my senior year, I made it to like in my mind to sit down and focus down, buckle down, and be that person who they recruited me to be. My motivation, I had 1 year left, and I had to make a statement. I had to make my point, and unfortunately, I knew going into the season I wasn't gonna be the starting nose guard, but I accepted my role. But that wasn't gonna change how the way I was gonna work out my mentality. My mentality was to come in and showcase myself. At the end of the day, we still have to compete. Even though you're ahead of me, I wanted to compete for that spot. Even though I know that it was solidified as his spot, but I wanted to prove to the coaches that I'm worthy of that starting position too. Unfortunately, he went down with the car accident, and then it was just, everything was just falling into place for me. I feel like it was God's signing when it was my time, and it finally came. It was my shot, and I took advantage of my opportunity. He was the next man up. I was prepared. I prepared myself all off season, and going into the season, I studied and worked on my craft and how they wanted me to play in their defense.
Yeah, and whether you were going to play 5 snaps this season or 500, you're going to give it your all. You're going to give it your best. And you really were able to burst out onto the scene this past season, David. Again, your senior year, you started all 11 games, I believe, 12, 13 games. You really seized the opportunity that came your way. You recorded 50 tackles, a team high 4.5 sacks, 12.5 tackles for loss, 2 pass breakups, and 2 blocked kicks. So you're even making noise on special teams, which is obviously huge. How would you describe the way that you're able to cap off your collegiate career, though? I mean, I'm sure you would have liked to get that W in the Idaho Potato Bowl game against Akron, but individually, I mean, I think it's safe to say that you're pretty proud of the way you're able to step up and ultimately help the team out when they really needed you.
Yeah, I mean, I that's what I wanted. I wanted to show the Aggie Nation that I was one of those. We have many great defensive players that have gone through Utah State. Bobby Wagner, highest paid middle linebacker, and then you have Never Lawson. The list goes on. Then you have on our defense, everybody knows about Kyler Fackrell and Nick Vigil. Those are the 2 standouts on our defense. And I wanted to show everybody that I am part of those people. I am part of those players. I can be mentioned with those guys. That was my mentality. I know I was an unselfish player, but I wanted to be mentioned too. I wanted people to know me too. And then, just taking advantage of the opportunities. My coaches, I sat down with my D-line coach, and and he believed in me, and he played a big part in me growing as a man on and off the field. And then Sheriff Seafer, I was always going back to him and watching film and telling him, like, what does he think, how I did right there, what can I fix, how can I do it better, and just to perfect my craft throughout the season, keep that momentum going.
Once again, he is David Moala, the nose guard / defensive tackle of Utah State, joining me here on the CS podcast presented by the NUC NFL Draft Bible, bringing you the names that you need to know first since 2002. Visit NFLDraftBible.com. And, David, what would you say is your biggest strength as a defensive lineman? What is something that you're able to succeed with, playing in the trenches quite often? And what is something that you feel that you could work on to get better at?
Things I think I'm good at, just motivating other players around me, making other players better. I bring energy that I just play with. Everybody thinks I'm taunting or boasting or showboating, but it's none of that. I mean, we practice nobody sees what we do in the off season. All they see is 60 minutes of football, what we can present them, and and that's something I want to do. I want to showcase all the hard work. I mean, I celebrate because they don't see what goes on in our life and what we go through throughout the off season and what we go through personally, and just this football gives me something to let out that frustration, let out that stress, and just be myself on the field and motivate other players and motivate any kid that's watching football and people back home that's counting on me. And something that's my weakness is just getting more stronger weight room wise. I've never been a weight room guy, just getting stronger and more explosive. Um, I know there's a lot of things I can fix. I mean, there's always something you can work on. There's always a weakness you can work on, and I know some of my weaknesses, and I want to talk to coaches about my weaknesses. I know they see it, and I want to fix that. And I'm still they have yet to see my best yet. So I just want them to to sit down with coaches and see what they think and see what they know, because I can fix those things, and just knowing the right guy to go to and the right coaches that can coach me, and I'm not coachable for those coaches.
And absolutely, and that's absolutely great to hear. And as you said, I mean, nobody's perfect. Nobody's a perfect football player, no matter the position. You always have something that you're able to work on and get better at. And as for the celebrating and whatnot, I mean, hey, playing at the college level, playing this game at the college level, obviously now getting ready for the pros. I mean, it isn't easy. And whenever you're able to make a play where you're able to celebrate, whether it's you or your teammates making that play, I mean, you got to take advantage of every opportunity you get to kind of reel in those moments and bring in those memories. And speaking of memories, David, looking back 5-10 years from now, let's say you're an NFL veteran. What will be the first play that pops into your mind when you look back at your Utah Aggies football career?
Probably our first game, our block kick. I mean, our offense couldn't score, and that changed the whole momentum of the game. My block kick, and we get a special teams play like later on in the game, and it's 12-9. We win the game 12-9, and they have the ball. They're trying to drive at the end, and they had to get a field goal, and they couldn't. Just that block kick. I mean, that set the whole momentum from the rest of my season. I was playing with so much intensity and so much energy, but I wasn't making plays. I mean, which I was fine with. I wasn't making plays, but that play and special teams changed my whole outlook in the whole. Because then people finally took a look at me and like, oh, he's arrived. And when I blocked that kick, it just sent it to the next game, and I had 8 tackles against Utah, and it just kept going. Everything, the momentum just kept building up, and I just kept building up off each game.
Wow, yeah, it sounds like it was a big momentum shifter for you and your season, for sure. And of course, that was one of your 2 block kicks this past season. Now, let's say, whether it's from the JUCO ranks or these past 2 years while you're at Utah State. Who would you say is the single best player that you've had a game plan for and play against over the last few years, whether it's an offensive lineman or a quarterback or running back, whoever?
Oh, man. I'll say Devontae Booker from Utah. Dude was a monster. There was plays where I would wait for him to choose a gap, and then I'll shed my blocker, and he'll cut the other way, or he'll shake me in the hole, or he was just an all around good player. He can run hard. He's elusive. He was able to catch the ball out the field. He did, and he blocked. I mean, you don't see many running backs that like to stay there and stick their nose at linebacker that's running full speed at them. Dude was a monster, and I respect his game a lot.
Yeah, Devontae Booker, running back, Utah. Like you, he's also getting himself ready for the NFL. Again, he is David Moala, the defensive lineman out of Utah State, joining me here on the CS podcast presented by the NUC NFL Draft as he continues to get set for the 2016 NFL Draft. And while you're going through this process, David, I mean, what have you been doing since your season has been over? Can you give us a little insight as to where you're training at and some of the things that you're doing in these training sessions?
Yeah, so after football season, I took like 2 weeks off and to just spend time with my family, just my little family I have created. And then I came out here to Hawaii to train with Chad Ike, an awesome guy, my trainer, and I respect, and I've grown to love and respect him because he knows a lot about this whole science behind football and how to live and apply it to the field.
Absolutely. Now, I do know that, your brother he was also a guy that went through this process. He was a second-round pick for the Indianapolis Colts. You're a cousin of Haloti Ngata. Has either one of them given you any advice as to what to do and what you should do as you continue to, try to fight and get to where they're at in the NFL?
Yeah, I mean, they gave me advice, but they want me to go through this process by myself, just to enjoy the process. I mean, this once in a lifetime you can go through. I mean, they assisted me in it, and I picked their brains about it, what to expect from the NFL, like what to do, what should I prepare myself for. I picked their brains of what I to learn from, because they've been through it, they've gone through it, and I just want them to pass down what they've gone through and their process, their experience with it. So they've helped me, but they want me to also go through the process by myself, to grow as a man, to make decisions as my own, because they can't make that decision for me. At the end of the day, it's myself, and I gotta make those decisions.
For sure. And final question for you, David. We appreciate you taking some time this afternoon. Let's say we got all 32 NFL general managers tuned in and listening to this very interview. Why should they want the defensive lineman out of Utah State, David Moala, a part of their squad?
I mean, coaches have their opinion on players. I'm just a guy who does this for the love of the game. I mean, I don't do this for the show, for the fame, for none of that. If they choose me, they'll get a hardworking guy who comes into work and knows, and who'll do what he's supposed to do. I mean, and I'll be a hard worker in the film and studying the game of football. Many people they just play the game of football instead of studying the game of football. I'm one of those who like to study the game of football, because that's the best part of it, is studying the game of football and then going out there and just knowing what the opponent's going to do before they do it. And just those things make it exciting, and what keeps me coming back. And the kids that's watching, they say, oh, he's made it. He's been through a lot, and he's made it. Coaches pick me, I'm just a guy who's just coming in hard work and do what he's supposed to do and do what he's coached to do, and add more flavor to it. Like I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, but I know when to take my chances as well, because I'm a student of the game. And
I think you have to be a student of the game to kind of take your game to the next level. I mean, I think talent could only get you so far. Film study and, being a student of the game, I think is what could give you that little extra boost of being great. And, David, like I said, that was my final question for you. I really do appreciate you taking some time this afternoon. And congrats on the breakout season, and certainly wishing you all the best as, again, you continue to work on it and get ready for the 2016 NFL Draft.
Thank you for having me.